Hello. So one more little video that I would like to share with you is about introductions. Now you know that you're writing essay one is an I-search essay. It's supposed to generate interest in your story, so you are strongly encouraged to use anecdote as an introduction. Anecdote is a type of introduction that gives a really short narrative or story using appropriate elements from the narrative genre. So, character. You as character, right? Your interior thinking and feeling is a very good and probably the very best sort of choice to include, to have as your introduction. Perhaps your story includes others who may have played some role in your story. A great idea is to have drama. And drama means conflict, it means tension. So the dramatic unfolding of events that contain tension or conflict. That's something, I think that's kind of really important, because often when we're making decisions of this kind of an import, it does have something to do with tension, either internal tension or tension with another person. Description is a wonderful sort of narrative element to include in an anecdote. Give us a "you are there" feel for what you're talking about. Another one that might be quite pertinent is setting. One of my students was describing her sort of discovery about what career she was going to research while sitting in a car with her mother. And of course it was an argument. And there's hardly a better dramatic moment than fighting with your mother in a car, because you're sort of trapped, right? And your reader gets that immediate feeling because you can't just walk away. So, if where you were when you decided what you wanted for a career matters, describing the setting can add to the persuasive power of your I-search essay. All of these elements can. So these are some choices that you can consider making, and you probably should really consider making an anecdote style of introduction. Okay, but I want you to know, in addition to this, that you're going to be writing an awful lot of papers for your college life, and most likely the career beyond it, and maybe even in your personal life there might be reasons that you need to tell your story, that you need to write an essay. So the types of introductions that are very common, general to specific, is probably, as I've been saying, probably the most common style of introduction that you will see, so I'm not going to expand on that. Specific to general, that's another choice. It's a very risky choice, but it's starting your essay with your thesis. Say, for example, your thesis is going to be that the best way to conserve water in the Central Valley is for everyone to stop watering their lawns. Well, I'm sure if you look down your block, you'll find a few people that might really resist that idea. And so if your first sentence is everyone should stop watering their lawns, pretty good chance that person's going to stop reading. It's very risky. But sometimes, you know, your thesis is not necessarily going to turn everybody off. It might really engage your readers. It might really engage the right readers, the readers that you want to have, and motivate them. So that's a choice. You may know that quotation is a way to open, to introduce an essay. What you may not know is that quotation, it's effective if it's done really well. One way to use it would be to use it when you want to bank on the reputation and the gravity of famous intellect. You know, maybe you're quoting Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., somebody who's known, who has a reputation for knowing something very profound, and it happens to be what you're writing about. That can be great. But probably more likely what you're going to be quoting, if you open an essay with a quotation, you're probably quoting the best expert in the field under discussion. If you were, for example, writing about water and water conservation, the person that you would want to quote at the beginning is Maud Barlow, because nobody knows more about water on the planet Earth than Maud Barlow. And how, you may ask, would I possibly know who the best expert is in any given field? Well, a really good way to find the best expert, here we go, by using, wait for it, not just Google, Google Scholar. Google Scholar is going to, it gives the, oopsie, occurrences of citations in academic work. So for example, let's say you put Maud Barlow in Google Scholar. I don't really know how many hits you'd get, but you'd get a lot. She would be cited for essays, articles, books, interviews, all kinds of things. So there should be a lot of citations where other people are using her work to support their own. Now, let's say you're reading a scholarly article by somebody and you want to know, maybe his name is Keith James, and you put his name into Google Scholar and nothing comes back. Well, chances are good Keith James is probably not the world expert on your topic, because nobody has used him as support for their writing. So that's a way that you can use Google Scholar for your future work. Okay, there's another type of introduction called question, and you've possibly used it before, and you've possibly used it badly, I don't know, but I would recommend that questions should only be used for very technical or complex concepts. Use the question to guide your reader into your process and through your thought process. If you're using question and your topic is, what do I want to do for my career? Well, that does not invite readers into your thought process. And it's not a technical or a complex topic. Let me put it this way. The use of a question in an essay that's very simple can't help really but sound like a television ad that's on at 2 o'clock in the morning. Are you tired? Are you lonely? Well, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're watching television, so chances are good the answers are yes. Anyway, be careful. When you use question, make sure that you're using it in a way that's going to help your readers. Okay, now the last type I give is review, and there's a whole bunch of different kinds of review introductions. The review introduction gives background, it situates the essay, and it is ordered in chronological order. Review of the history. Maybe you're writing, let's say, about the war on drugs, for example, and that's your topic. A review of the history might go back 120 years ago to the beginnings of the bans on drugs and their effectiveness. So you might say such and such a thing happened in 1908, and such another event happened in 1928, and you'd be moving in chronological order through history from beginning to most recent. Review of the controversy is what you might think it is. It's where you've got a debate on the issue. So let's say the issue is the legalization of drugs. So you've got a camp of people who believe that drugs should be banned, and you've got another camp of people who believe that drugs should be legal. Your review of the controversy is going to cover what those people say in chronological order, although it would make the most sense if you grouped them by supporters and opposers, but still go through time. And lastly, the review introduction that's called a review of the literature is the most common type of introduction for papers in the social sciences, papers on society, papers on psychology, papers on anthropology, papers on criminal justice, papers on child development, papers on education. Very often those begin with an introduction that reviews the literature. And that's the kind of introduction that says, this group of experts discovered this thing about post-traumatic stress disorder in 1991. And then this other group of experts ran studies and they discovered this new thing about post-traumatic stress disorder in 1998. And you'd be moving in time and you'd be citing sources. We're talking about the same topic at different periods of time. But again, what you need to know for right now is the anecdote. It's a short narrative. It's a great way to engage readers, make them interested in what you're talking about, and give them a real you are there feel for your essay. And that's all I have for now.